Hello everyone, it's halfway through the year, so I thought it was the perfect time to do the mid-year book tag, mid-year book reading tag. I don't know the exact name, but this is something that many people do every year for many years, and I'm just going to go through the questions and answer them. That's how tags work. The first prompt is the best book you've read so far in 2025. And I would say that for me is probably The Blue Machine by Helen Zersky. This is a non-fiction book about the ocean, and it has different aspects of the ocean that it covers, but what I thought it was the most interesting and smart thing that this book did is that a big part of it was looking at the physics of the ocean. I have seen a lot of books, or relatively more books, about the life in the ocean, like the fishes and the algae and things like that. But I've never seen so clearly explain how the physics of the ocean works, how the currents work, and how the movement of the water works, and how that has effects on the life inside, and how climate change has effects on those movements and those currents and those phenomena. For example, here you have like the explanation of what dead water is, which is when only the bottom part of the ocean moves but not the top, and then it's very difficult to move because it's almost like you are in ice. Things like that. It's like very well explained and really cool, and I really love this book. Next question is best sequel you've read so far in 2025. I was checking, I haven't read sequels, I don't read series, but one thing that I thought kind of counts, I have read the whole Copenhagen trilogy by Tove Ditlevsen. These are supposed to be 3 books. This version has the 3 books in 1 book, but they are supposed to be childhood, youth and dependency are 3 separate things. You can buy them as separate books. So I guess that counts as separate sequels. And this is a memoir about Tove Ditlevsen life. She's a Swedish poet, I think. And she was from a working class family, and she kind of had to fight her way through, and she had a lot of men in her life that were not the best and stuff like that, and especially the second 2 parts follow her trying to figure that out and getting out of an abusive relationship and stuff. It's not my kind of person to hang out with, but I think the book was very well written, and it was very easy to understand how she ended up in the ways that she ended up with. So yeah, I think from all the sequels I've read this year, which is probably just this is the best one. This is actually a good one. The next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to, and I would say that for that I would put Ootlin by Jenni Fagan. I'm waiting for the paperback, basically. This was part of the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction longlist. It's about Jenni Ootlin growing up in the care system in the UK and how horrible that is, and I think it sounds amazing. Jenni Fagan is also a novelist, so I'm expecting the writing to be very good. I have heard very good things about this, so I'm really excited to read this at some point when the paperback comes out. The next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't know if that counts as the second half of the year, but Sliverborn by Jessica Townsend, which is the 4th book on the Nevermore series, comes out, I think, in the Netherlands, comes out in June, and I haven't read it yet, so I'm going to put that down as the most anticipated book for the second half of the year, because I'm never up to speed with the releases, so I never know what's coming up, and that's one that I know it's coming up and I want to read. The biggest surprise, good surprise I guess, I have put down The Forbidden Notebook by Alba de Cespedes. I expected this to be a very classic one of those that you read and you're like, oh yeah, I can expect this was good, but I didn't get anything out of it. But actually this one was actually really good. It's about a woman that starts writing in a notebook all her thoughts, and she's like, she works in an office, but she's mainly a housewife. I think it's around the 50s in Italy, and nobody takes her seriously. Her husband and her children treat her like she's not a real person, and you start seeing that in the notebook and how she realized, no, I'm actually a person, and she grows more and more pissed off at her family for treating her that way and try to reclaim her space. But at the same time, half of the book is her scared that someone is going to find her notebook in which she says all these things about her family, and so half of her book is trying to hide the book, which is very representative of what she's actually going through. And I thought it was great. I thought it was very smart. I thought it was very poignant, and yeah, I think it's very, very well done. The next question is favorite new author, and I'm not sure if it counts or not because I'm still not 100% sure, but I did read Disobedient Bodies by Emma Dabiri, and I had read Don't Touch My Hair by her before, and I think she's super smart and I think she's super eloquent. I tapped all of these things because I needed to remember them. It's about, this book in particular is about reclaiming the inner beauty as the standard of beauty, and how being like trying to make more diverse bodies fit on the like scale of beautiful is not actually solving the problem, but because we are just diversifying what beautiful means instead of looking at what it actually means, like the inner beauty. We always say, oh, it's the inner beauty that really matters, but we don't really act like that's the case, and we have to start acting like that's the case. And this was so eloquent and so well done. And I mean, Don't Touch My Hair was also really good. I do remember less of that because I read it many years ago, but I remember loving it. So yes, I think she's, I want to read what she writes. The next question is newest fictional crush, and I never know what to answer with this. I don't read books in which there are fictional crushes. They're not very nice people in them. The next question is a book that made me cry, and that is without a doubt The Story of a Heart by Rachel Clarke. This is again a non-fiction. There is a lot of non-fiction in this tag, but anyway, this is a non-fiction about the history of heart transplants and the way it's told. It focuses a lot on like the medical processes that allow for hearts to be transplanted, but it's all framed around these two children in the UK. One of them died and her heart was donated, and then the child that received that heart. And yeah, like the point of this book is not to dive into the melodrama of that story, although it does go into some detail with it, and it's very very touching. It is also about all of the doctors and professionals that were involved in that transplant and all of the machines and things that allowed for that to be possible. However, every time there was a bit about the kids, I was just crying, like all of the time. I was crying all of the time. Yeah, it's so heartbreaking to see these children suffer so much. The next is a book that made me happy, and I have two for this. The first one is A System So Magnificent It Is Blinding by Amanda Svenson. This is a very quirky book. It's very unrealistic and over the top, but I enjoyed those facts about it. It just made it fun. And I normally don't read a lot of books that are fun like this, so I enjoyed that fact of it. And the other one is Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which was not what I expected it to be, but I really enjoyed the banter between the alien and the man. And yeah, it was just those are just pure fun books, and I enjoy that. The next prompt is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. And I don't have this with me anymore. I have passed it on, but that would have been Raising Hare by Clhloe Dalton, which again a non-fiction, very non-fiction heavy, but it is a book about, it's a memoir about when the author during the pandemic moved to the countryside, and all of a sudden she found this little hare in her garden, and she knew that her mom was not around, so she decided to take care of the hare and trying to like learn how to take care of the hare. It was not a book that was very it felt very pretentious and millennial in many ways. I didn't like it so much, that's why I don't have it with me, but it had illustrations of the hare in every chapter, and they were beautiful. So that's probably the most beautiful book I bought. And then the last prompt is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I would say that's probably just my ancient TBR, which is something that I do every year. So all the books that I bought in 2024, I want to read by the end of 2025. So that's that. There were 20 something books in there at the beginning of the year, and by now there are only 8 or 9 of them. So I have to read those. Aside from those, things that I have gotten this year that I kind of not need but want to read this year, I do really need to read Sister-in-Law by Harriet Wistrich. This, when the Women's Press for Non-Fiction long list came out, this was the one that I was the most excited about, the first one that I bought. And I mean, it's not only my fault that I haven't read it. It got lost in the mail, I had to reorder it. This copy is like the cover of the paperback is so much worse than the hardback cover. I don't know who decided that this was a good cover, but it's not. But anyway, it's about feminism in law. It sounds very powerful, and I want to read it. But yeah, I haven't, because it didn't come to me until like last month. So this is something I want to prioritize from now. So yeah, those are all the questions from this tag. Let me know if you have thoughts in any of the books I talked about, or if you want to make your own tag, please let me know and I can go watch it. And until next video, bye!